Well, hey, neighbor, it's me, Angie. Come on over. I'm out in the yard today. Oh, it's nice. It's so nice out here. The wind's not blowing, but it's comfortable. As you're driving up, go on inside. James is in there. He'll get you whatever you need to drink and whatever snack you want or whatever you want to eat. Just ask him for it and he'll hand it to you. And then make your way on out the front door and bring your chair out and let's just sit around and gather around and just talk to each other. It's so nice just to gather around and just talk. You know, so many times we're just busy and we don't feel like we have time to stop and visit. You know, back when I was growing up, when I was a child, the older people, which we called older folks, um, used to sit out on porches, and it'd be a lot of my grandmother's brothers and sisters would come up and sit around on the porch and just visit and talk. And of course, we children had to be out in the yard playing. We couldn't sit right up under the adults. We were not allowed to. If we were caught sitting under the adults, we were told, go outside. This is where the adults belong. I never would let my children be around adult conversation either. There's a time and a place that they're going to be children a lot less years than they're going to be adults. So you need to let them be children as long as they can be children and not try to bring them up to be adults so early. Even if they're intelligent enough to understand the conversation, that doesn't mean they're emotional. Their emotions are able to handle it, or they're emotionally able to handle it, or anything like that. Intelligently, they may be able to understand what's going on, but emotionally, they may not be able to handle what the adults are talking about. So don't think that you should allow your 7, 8-year-old child to be around adult conversation. That's just my opinion. I don't think you should do that. My children turned out just fine, and they were allowed to be children. But anyway, that's not what our neighborhood chat is about today. Our neighborhood chat is about love is a choice. I know some of y'all do not believe that, and you may not believe it, so it's not true for you. But for me, it's true. It took me a lot of years to realize that and really comprehend what that means. You know, because I was under the impression growing up, love was a feeling. You know, if I didn't get that feeling, then I'm not supposed to love that person, or I'm not supposed to care about that person. Now, I know there are people in the world that you have to be leery with, and I think our intuition, our sixth sense gives us that ability to know who we need to stay away from and who we need to be around. Now, sometimes we don't listen to that. You know, some people go into a relationship and then it's abusive, and then they come out of it going, you know, I had red flags everywhere before I committed to this relationship, and I didn't listen to them. So you had the sign that says, don't do this. Don't do it. And you went ahead and did it anyway. And we're all guilty of that. We're all guilty of it. But I'm here to tell you love is a choice. Now, I had someone in my live today to tell me that she got reprimanded for talking about hugs and love and kisses and all that to people when she come into the chat. That's just who she is. That's just her. And she freely chooses to love everyone. That's what she chooses to do. You know, choice means free will. That means you have the freedom to make a decision whether you're going to do something or not. You're going to choose one thing over another thing. That's what choice is. It's freedom, you know? So let's just say we have the freedom to love or not to love. You know, a lot of times we want to let it come with conditions in order to love someone. We want it to be conditional. Uh, that's not really love when you put conditions on it. Uh, it may be love to you, but in reality, it's not. It's not love. And I go back to this. You know, love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not seek its own. Love is um, doesn't have a bad temper. Love, uh, you know, First Corinthians explains it to a T what love is supposed to look like, and it's really hard for us to measure up to that, really. But you know, each day as we live, we can choose to live like that. Now, you say, Angie, but I want to fall in love one day. Are you telling me I can just go out and look at somebody and say, oh, I choose to love him, he's mine? Well, no. That's not the love I'm talking about. The love I'm talking about is love for mankind, love for your fellow man, love for your next door neighbor, love for your friend, love for your neighbor, your freedom to choose love. Now, this ooey gooey feeling of lust, really, you want that person because you're so attracted to them. And I believe God gives us that so we can fall in love with each other, so we can have a mate, so we can reproduce, so we can not be alone. But the love that I'm talking about is in the morning when you wake up, do you have so much anger and bitterness inside you that you are choosing to not love someone? I mean, are you doing that? I mean, I held on to things like that for years. And it didn't do anything but hurt me. It didn't hurt anyone else. It didn't even hurt the person that I was angry with. It didn't even bother that person. They were getting up the same morning I was getting up and living the same day that I was living, and they wasn't giving me a second thought. But I was over here being angry and bitter and making a choice to be that way. And you say, oh, Angie, I don't choose to be angry and bitter. They caused me to be angry and bitter because of what they did to me. No. They may have gotten you angry at the point that they caused the offense to what they did to you. But you choose to let that go or hold on to it. You choose that. They don't choose that for you. It took me a long time to realize that we choose to hang on to anger and bitterness and sorrow and hate and unforgiveness. We choose that. We have a free will, and we choose to not to forgive someone. We choose to not like someone. For what reason? What reason in the past did I not like people? Let me think. Normally, I pretty much liked most people unless I got this weird feeling when I would meet them, but it wouldn't be that I disliked them. It would be that I would just kind of stay my distance from them because I didn't know them. I mean, I wasn't even putting them in the category of being like or dislike, you know. Sometimes you just have acquaintances that somebody will ask you, do you know this person or do you know that person? Oh, well, I know who they are, but I don't really know them. So you don't really put them in a category of like or dislike. You don't want any harm to come to them, but you don't really feel one way or the other toward them, you know? Until you get to know a person, you don't really put them in the category of like or dislike. Well, you shouldn't. Some people say, oh, I don't like them. I'm not even going to try to get to know them. I don't like the way they act, or I don't like the way they treat their children, or I don't like the way they treat their spouse, or I don't like the way they do this or that. And you might not even give yourself a chance to even befriend that person or become their friend. But I'm here to tell you, when you freely, by choice, give up all that anger and bitterness and sorrow, and you make a conscious decision to walk in love and really respect everybody and love everybody. Now, I'm not saying go into chats and say, I love you, and I want to, hugs to you and kisses to you, because that may not be who you are. But you may want to be more kind to people, more understanding. Some people aren't even understanding. Somebody can do one wrong thing and they're like, oh my gosh, how could they do that? That is so childish. I would never do that. Or my child would never do that. Or I would this and that. No. You don't know the level that they're on. You don't know the journey that they're on. Like I said before, you don't know what mile marker they're on. You might be behind them or ahead of them. We're all not at the same mile mark. And we all don't know the same thing. I have lots of things to learn. Lots. And I'm anxious to learn them. I want to learn them. I can't wait to know things that I don't know. And a lot of people don't care about knowing anything but what somebody else is doing. And they don't like them because somebody else don't like them. And Ella and I have talked about this on our Keeping It Real show. Don't dislike somebody because you have a close friend that does not like that person. The person that you don't like may end up being one of your closest friends ever. I've had that happen to me in my life, and so has James. A person that you have made a choice not to like because a friend of yours didn't like them, and then later on you come to know them and you get to know them, and you're like, oh my gosh, we are really good friends. I can't believe that my friend did not like them. You can't judge people. You have to have a conversation with that person and a relationship with that person to know whether you like them or not, and to know whether you love them. That you love them enough to respect them and not cause harm to them, or you'll be there if they need you. Not to take care of them, but to lend a helping hand to them when they need it. Now, I'm close to several people on YouTube that I consider my friends, and they know I'm their friend. And I can say I honestly love them. I've never met them in my entire life, but I love them. And if they sent me an email or sent me a message saying, this is going on in my life, I need you to help me with this, can you give me a call, this or that, I would do it. Because I have been around them long enough to know that I can trust them. They've not given me any reason not to trust them. It's sort of like our children when they were growing up and they were teenagers. James and I told them both, we're going to trust you until you give us a reason not to. And then when you give us a reason not to, you're going to be bound to this house and you're not going to go anywhere. So you go out and you be you, and you do you, and hopefully you do the right thing. Because if you get caught doing the wrong thing, it's over. We don't trust you anymore. But a lot of people want their own little group. They don't want to get to know anybody else. They don't want to have more than us four and no more. And they've been hurt so badly that they don't want to love people. Some people have been hurt that they choose not to love people. But what I'm telling you is this. Wake up every morning and lay that down and say, Lord, I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to not care about people, because once you do this, once you start caring about people, people will start caring about you. But if you hold yourself back and present yourself as non-lovable, people are probably going to distance themselves from you. It's wrong, because in the Bible that I read, it says, love the ones that aren't easily loved, that's hard to love. That's really the challenge. That's when you know you've really loved someone, is when you love the unlovable. But that doesn't mean allow them to abuse you. That doesn't mean go into a relationship and that person not love you and you take abuse and, oh, that's what God wants you to do. No, that's not what that means. You can do good to those that do bad to you, but you don't have to have a close relationship with them. You can show them love by the life you live. Love is so easy to do. It's so fragile. And it's so beautiful. Love is the most beautiful thing. When two people actually love each other. You can just tell. Friends, families that love each other, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, because they're thinking of the other person. They're not thinking of themselves. They're thinking on how to make that person happy. They're thinking of how to protect that person, how to let that person know that they would die for them, that they would give their life for them if it come down to it. Without it even being said. They just know it. They just know that's how much that person loves them. And then you see people holding hands, and you know what that feels like because you have been there before. When James and I first got married, oh my gosh, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We loved each other. We were in love with each other, and of course there was lust there. But over the years we had children, and it kind of got to where, it wasn't that much holding hands, and it wasn't that much this and that, because we had children we were raising, and we were going here and there and doing things. But that didn't mean we didn't love each other. We loved each other. We just wasn't taking time for each other. And now that we don't have children, all that's coming back. Holding hands, loving each other, hugging each other, saying that we love each other. We've always said that to each other. And I'm here to tell you, saying I love you to someone, it gets easier the more you do it. But you got to mean it. You got to say, I want to love people. I want to be able to say I love you. And even if the person doesn't say it back, that's who you are. That's who you are. Maybe through you, they can learn what the true meaning of love really is. But I'm here to tell you, it takes so much energy to be angry and sad and bitter and vindictive and backstabbing and a gossip and a pot stirrer. That takes so much energy. When if you'll just wake up in the mornings and freely choose to love others, it just flows like water off a duck's back. It just comes so easy for you to do. And you'll find that people will love you. And whether at first, if you believe it or not, eventually there will be people that come into your life that you'll be able to trust again, and you'll be able to receive love. So I'm here to tell you, open your heart up. Empty out all that bitterness and anger and unforgiveness and nastiness, and receive love. Receive goodness. Take the chance. I'm not saying you won't ever get hurt again, but the love outweighs the hurt. I mean, if you've ever felt love, you long for that. People miss it when they don't have it. If you've never had it, search for it. It's the most remarkable thing you can ever find, is to love others and for others to love you. Love is the answer. No matter what kind of person you are, no matter what color, no matter what religion, no matter what job you have, no matter how rich or poor, no matter what, love is the answer. You should love everybody at all times. Now, you can be angry with them and you can be upset with them, but don't not love them. Always love them. Do a little research. Find out what love really is. And say, that's what I want. I want to be able to love more and more. That's my prayer. I want to be able to love people. Just love them in spite of themselves. And when somebody comes into chat saying that they love people and hugs and all this, don't judge that person. That's just them making a choice to love others when you're not making that choice. And with that being said, neighbor, remember, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's the truth. Like, share, become my neighbor. Please comment. Tell me about your love experience. Let me know how you feel about love. Love is the answer. Bye, neighbor.